Alright, today's October the 7th, 2015. We're watching the northeast water vapor loop in the northeast Pacific, and we're watching Hurricane Oho right here. 85-mile-per-hour winds. This is moving northeast at 42 miles per hour, I believe. Let's go take a look at the Hurricane Center information. Yes, 41 miles per hour. It's moving at northeast at 41 miles per hour. That is really clipping along. 85-mile-per-hour winds and a core pressure of 968 millibar. So this storm is really hustling along, and this is interesting because they've got these weather controllers have a HARP transmitter right on the core of this storm, and it looks like they are just pushing it along. It was sort of drifting around south of Hawaii for a while, and then once it got up into the jet stream, headed towards the west coast, they've got a transmitter on this thing to break it down, and we can see that right here, this very odd deformity right here in the core of this storm, this big angular shaped figure here. That's a transmitter that is trying to destroy that core so that by the time this storm reaches the west coast, it won't raise a lot of hell. So that's what they're doing. The other thing that's happening here is we have a division right here. This is done with the phased array radar, and they are cutting a path in the atmosphere, a hot air path, and that separates these two moisture fields right here and here. They don't want this moisture field feeding into this hurricane and generating more moisture, which is heading into the west coast and into California. So what they told us tonight on television is that by Friday we're going to have a high pressure right here that is going to be placed here, and that's going to generate strong Santa Ana winds right next to this low. So we got a low here spinning counterclockwise, and we're going to have a high here according to them, and that's going to be spinning clockwise, and that's when we get this strong pressure gradient all through here, which generates the offshore wind in Los Angeles. All right, so that's going to be, I'm going to have to see that to believe it. They've got high pressure all through here. We've got clockwise movement starting here, but this is such a heavy moisture field from this hurricane. I don't think they're going to be able to get a high pressure pin right here in time. If they do, it's not going to be nearly bringing the temperatures anywhere close to being 100 degrees. It may be 90, but right now we have 64% humidity outside right now, and that's up from 42% this morning. So we've got higher barometric pressure. It's 30.05 right now here in the foothills, but the humidity is up. All right, so this is going to be interesting to see. We've got this developing storm right here. We can take a look at that on the, let's see, right here. This is the surface analysis map, and they indicate this right here is a developing storm right here. And so this is the storm that is behind the hurricane that is moving at 41 miles per hour. So this hurricane's coming along right alongside this developing storm, and they've got a division set up with the phased array radar to keep all of that moisture from this system from getting mixed up with the hurricane. So they've got the chemtrail people out there as well. We can take a look at all the chemtrails going, being sprayed all through here. So everybody's working overtime to stop the rain in California tonight. And let's go look at some of these other maps here. This is the infrared loop. We can see a tremendous flow here, and we can see where that transmitter, there's a HARP transmitter just boring a hole right through the core of this spinning low pressure hurricane right here. We can see that very clearly. This is not Mother Nature, folks. This is a man-made transmitter right there. We can see the indent right in the core, right there. Okay, and let's look at this in the, hang on one sec. Well, I have another view that looks, we've got the visible light mode. Yeah, just hang on here, we got. Okay, so let's go on and look at the, this is the water vapor loop for the Central Pacific. We can see Hawaii here, and we get a better view of what's actually happening. they're hitting that core right there, and we can see a lot of violent activity right there. And the core is becoming very disorganized. And we can see a blast pattern all along here. So not only are they hitting this with a HARP transmitter on the south side of the moisture field, but they're also hitting this thing with probably a microwave on the core. And we're seeing that probably right here is where all that is occurring, right there. They're hitting that, superheating the core. And so we're seeing what looks like a blast pattern all along here, right there. Okay, let's look at this is the infrared loop for the same map. Okay, and we can see that very, very dry area right there. We're hitting the core, and this thing is continuing to try to spin, but they're superheating that core. Okay, now let's look at the, this is the visible light mode, and again we can see very dry air core right in the middle there at the end, the last frame. Okay, so this is definitely man-made intervention. They're trying to kill this storm before it gets up into the west coast, and it's riding the jet stream. That's why it's going so fast. We can take a look at the jet stream map. Okay, now here is this is the western U.S. water vapor loop, and we can get an idea of just how close this storm is to the west coast, California. In fact, right about now, it's right around 39, 40 degrees latitude, north latitude, and that's right on Los Angeles, right here. Last frame of that. So it's getting close to our area in terms of latitudes. And look at this moisture field here. This is really something. And that, this is all being chemtrailed. And this low right here is going to help wrap this around. So they're trying to put a high here. High will run this thing clockwise and further, bring some of this moisture down right back around. So the original plan on television was they were going to push this thing offshore, but I don't see how that's going to happen in time. They were forecasting by Friday we'd be having winds and this thing would be pushed offshore. But there's so much moisture right here. This is going to be very interesting to see how they're going to do this, if they can do it. So they'd have to bulldoze this thing out to sea with high pressure to get behind it and push it away. They got a HARP transmitter right here. To once this thing gets out over open water, it's going to rebuild. This thing right here. But this here, they're killing this off, and even if they kill it off completely, there's still a lot of moisture that they're going to have to deal with, and that's where the chemtrails come in. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this is the infrared loop. We can see a huge moisture field right here. Tons of rain, trillions of gallons of rain up there. And we can see where they're hitting the core right here. Look at that. That's about as obvious as it'll ever get. Man-made weather modification right there. How many people out there have seen a hurricane that looks like this with a big cutout like that on the core? It's not very often, if ever. And there's that dry area right there where they're hitting the core. This is a visible loop. Again, here, visible loop right there. Okay, we've seen this. This is just the surface analysis map once again. They've got highs all through here to try to block this, but we'll just have to watch and see what happens. This is a huge moisture field, and be very interesting to see how far they get. All right, here is the ocean swells from this hurricane right here, and 33 feet right in the core. So this will bring some large surf to west-facing beaches. Very large surf and dangerous conditions for the ships out there. All right, let's go ahead and look at the geostationary image, satellite image right here. and we see this is the water vapor loop, and we can see all the chemtrails here, all through here, and we can see what's happening here on this core right here. That's that Hurricane Oso right there, and then we have this developing storm right up here, and they're trying to keep these two things separated. That's going to be a challenge. Let's go back to the beginning here, the very beginning map, and take another look at this, because the reason they're putting a dry air channel right here with the radar is to keep these separated. Once again, the same thing over here. You got this huge moisture field. They don't want that getting wrapped around into this system here. That'll just give this thing a whole lot of punch and build it right back up. You got a transmitter on it right here. We can see all this dry air, but they're trying to keep these separated, and that is very clear by looking at this feature right here. Okay, and then of course Hawaii is protected. They've got high pressure all through here. That's nothing new. They keep Hawaii protected all the time. This past summer they put on quite a show with all these hurricanes and steering them around, and but they were never going to let a hurricane hit Hawaii. Okay, so that's pretty much it, folks. We'll do an update tomorrow.